Oh, we're on.
We are.
Well, we are back, and as a surprise to us as well as yourselves. But we are back, and we did have the action from the AXO and Omen before, and Antic did win that 2-0, both on Border and Bank, quite comfortably. But Omen did put up a fight, just not enough to bring us to that third map. But we are seeing the bracket here now. So the game that we're about to jump into is this Outlast versus Arrival7 game. So it's going to be a rather interesting one. I think this one definitely a more even matchup with players and their experience in this sort of tier of comp. But as we can see here, we are looking at the vetoes. So where are we going to go this time, Broken? Where are we going?
So it looks like we have Outlast getting rid of the Consulate first up, so we're not going to see that as our decider, but you got Chalet banned out again, Lair, two maps that I would love to see, but Bank is also banned out, so no more Bank, but we go to Labs. Labs is a very interesting one. Border, we're going back there again. It's not too bad, it was a good map. Clubhouse is the next one, and then we're down to our last two maps, and our decider. It's very, very close here.
I think we definitely have some interesting maps. We're going to jump into Nighthaven, though. And Nighthaven, I'd like to say, is actually a very, very good map. I think, for the most part, it plays very, very similar to, your Clubhouse, your Oregon, but in a little bit of a more fun way now that it's fresh. And it is nice to have it in the competitive map pool. But we see here that Outlast and Arrival7, they're going to ban the Maverick first. And I think that's a good ban, especially on that basement site. You don't want Maverick, helping out that Glaz to get those little peaks. But Blackbeard will be the next ban to follow. So nothing too crazy, nothing too out of the ordinary. But what are we going to see here on the defense?
Definitely, as we do see those two bans being the one. Blackbeard was a big, heavy one in our first matchup, bringing a lot of the angles and a lot of kills. But defensively on Nighthaven, I'm still thinking the Azami, getting rid of it of the on that sort of garage hold. But it's going to be the Valkyrie. A lot of your cams taken off the board now, but that's a lot of potential in that as well. That's also a C4, a great set of guns in the MP5X, as well as the Deagle being the pistol there. But I'm still feeling an Azami, but you could go with a mirror here as well, being the sort of stronger hold on a mirror. Tubrao could be another one as well, and it is the Tubrao.
There it is.
And that's going to be a lot of denial coming out, as you won't be able to do a lot of the bandit tricking or a lot of the Cade Claw tricking as comfortably as you would like to. And that's some good guns off the board as well.
Yeah, I mean, potentially two MPXs off the board if they don't want to run that DMR on the Turborough. But Turborough, just a big issue on a lot of maps, not only for his ability, but just for the stability of the game as well. It does impact FPS, and it does hurt a lot of people's PCs, but you do see Outlast here to start us off here on the attack. And if you missed out on that ban phase, the final decider map is that cafe, so I'm rather interested to go to a cafe. Casting a cafe game would be cool, so these two teams can get us there. That would be awesome, but I'd imagine that both teams want to win this 2-0, and keep it clean and go to the next stage of these playoffs. But we do see the basement being the side of choice at a tank assembly bomb site. But we see the mirror being in play, Castle, Legion, Mute, and that's Scopos. So Scopos, such a good character to roam on. You can put your other body on some far end of the map and then roam about with the other one and then sort of go for a little bit of a cheeky flank later on in the round. But it's going to be interesting how we're going to see Outlast clear these mirrors.
Definitely, as we do see the Buck, the Habana, the Grim, the Dockerby, and to finish it all off, the Gridlock here. And just to go over quickly, these rosters, they are looking like strong rosters, as you do see Docs, Pala, Faulty, Sharky, and Bake on the Outlast, as you've got Kickin, Mr. Orion, Nico, and Zeth, as Zeth finds the first kill onto Bake with the C4 kill there, and Scopo is doing a bit of damage onto Sharky on that Dockerby there, as they are now being forced off, as Pala finding the first kill onto the castle of Kickin here, and that is two early picks, two strong picks taken off the board, as you can now roam freely on a flank here, as there is no gridlock traps to stop you from doing so. We do see a big entry coming on this top floor, clearing out a lot of the roamers on this Nighthaven Labs, but you see the Scopo still sitting on the side, trying to put a bit of pressure upstairs here still.
Yeah, faulty though. He will find Orion. That is your Scopus off the board. But it looks like Outlast, they want to go for a bit of a hatch and stairs play here. They're not really focused on those main breaches, which you see a lot of people go for. And they can't waste too much time on this roam clear though, because they got to be careful of the clock. They still have halfway in the round to go. That BP is going to feed a lot of information to the players that are still lurking about. And for the most part, Outlast, they do have this man advantage, but they've got to use it to their advantage as ulti is quite low and Pala and Sharky are quite tagged. So they got to be careful with the engagements that they take. But C4 on the board of Mistrik. And Nico and Zeth just holding down the line. They waiting patiently. And Zeth's going to find his second in the round as he claims faulty. There's your Grim off the board. That's a good executing character to take off the side of Outlast.
And that was over on the kitchen/vending side there. That is a lot of space just taken back by the defenders here. But Zeth caught out by Ox here. Doesn't quite find a kill, but applies a bit of pressure back as the phone calls come out. And they might be able to hear that Zeth is pushing up that little bit closer each time. Does do a swing, does a lot of damage on Asaki, but takes very little damage. Fox trying to find a little extra swing here, but gets the kill onto Zeth. Quite a good pinch coming out there. But you got Mistrik breaking the mirror, denying the opponents from getting a good pressure swing on that. But doesn't quite see the people swing into the Exos. Quite a lot of swing here. Doesn't quite find a swing. Pala finds the kill. Great push there as the bomb is going down here.
It is all left to Nico in 1v3 as the bomb gets down. And now he's going to go for the retake, but they are quite low. So if he can find those picks, he can definitely do it. But Dox, he's locked in and he will take him out for the count. So Outlast find their first round here on the attack of Nighthaven. And I'd like to say for Nighthaven, it should sway a little bit in the defender's side, but because the map's been out for a long enough time now, a lot of teams know how they want to attack this map, especially at this level of play. So, you know, A7, they need to do a little bit more there to sort of get these rounds here, but it is early days. That is the first round to kick us off in this series. But they are going to go to that top floor. They don't want to stay around. They want to keep the bomb site moving. They don't want to make Outlast comfortable. They want to keep them on their toes and keep them guessing what's going to happen next. And we do talk about nerves, and nerves are a big factor, but first round's out the way. Now it's all about locking in for the rest of the game.
Definitely is. We do see a lot of presence by this mirror, creating a lot of sort of angles to sort of peek from. But you've also got the Cade. He doesn't quite have that effectiveness, but that DMR, that TCG is quite a lethal weapon at a long range, as we do see the Bandit taking half the walls, and the Mute just denying a lot of drone pressure here. But it's looking like a lot of roaming by the Azami, sort of in that garage side. So it's going to be interesting to see how they want to sort of push this attack out. Are they going to try and force the Azami out of the garage, or are they going to just take on the other side? As we do see a bit of a double swing here, as you got the Ace. I find it a great pusher for opening up the first wall. What are your thoughts? Do you want a double sort of hard breach, or do you like the Ace being a single breach here?
I think bringing a double is always a guarantee, especially when you've got Cade and Bandit on the board as well as a Mute. So you've got to be careful, but the EMPs of Thatcher definitely does help. But Bandit able to trick the wall a little bit, but when you do that double ace like that, sometimes you can get that open rather easily. But I reckon Bandit could have gone for the trick there, but unfortunately it didn't work out. And they do have that little gap available to them now, as we have approached 1 minute already into the round. But still, everyone just laying in wait, waiting for someone to make the first mistake and the other to make the first move. We do see Sharky here close on garage door, ready to go for a swing, but he will be met by a Kiba barrier blocking his lines of sight. But they are droning Nico here out on the rafters, because that would be their next step, trying to clear out the garage, and Nico's going to do exactly that. The mirror is actually popped, so they're going to have to play rather safe here, and he's actually got a Kiba barrier below, so that rotate is rather safe. But Orion to open up the kills, and he's going to find faulty. That is your ace off the board, so no more breaches will be opened. It will remain shut. Jake will take some damage, but Orion is rather low too. So we are approaching that last minute in the round. How do you reckon it's going to go, Broken?
Well, these teams are very, very crucial players, but we do see Outlast taking a lot of space here, but you've still got all 5 players for A7. Cade being the heavily damaged one by Orion, down in the half health or below half. Going for a swing here. Doc's finding the kill onto Orion. Does kill the Cade off the board. That is a C4 potential, but Nico finding a kill back on the Sharky. Nico finding a second kill onto Fake as it comes to a waterfall push here by somebody, but Kicking, he's sitting in a very crucial spot on the pillar here, as it is a 2v4 situation. The swing coming out. Nico finding a triple. Is he going to find a quad here to finish out the round, or is Pala going to try and bring it back here on a little bit of a swing, as there is a triple pinch? It looks like one sitting on the door, one sitting on the feed holes, and the third one sitting on that garage side.
He's trying to push closer. He's trying to find some picks, at least pad the stats a little bit, but he does shut down the quad kill of Nico. Now it's just all about padding the stats, unless we see something absolutely diabolical, but he does find Mistrik. Zeth will meet him with the shotgun halfway, and beautiful round there. Beautiful response from A7. And they're not letting this map get out of their line of sight. They want this map to be theirs. I mean, they did, in fact, not pick this map. They picked Border, so if they can win their opponent's map, that definitely puts them on their way. But we did see last match. It's not always the case. Not always the case.
Yes, but this is looking like it's going to be a lot closer in the rounds after 2 rounds going down, 1 each, and the big plays being made there by Nico, trying to secure a 4th kill, but unfortunately peeking, getting it taken out as Pala did shut down. But Pala well played to try and secure a bit more of that round. Unfortunate on the swing into a mute shotgun is not the thing you want to face in a close quarters combat, as we do see the Blitz, Deimos, Sense, and Ram being brought out, as well as the Buck. Now, Ram is one that I didn't see get played in that last border map.
5 seconds to insertion.
No, Ram, a very, very good operator. He will switch off of it, though. But Ram is a beautiful, beautiful operator to utilize, especially on these vert plays. But they are down in the basement. They will switch to that Habana, so no more Ram will come about.
But we do see the mirror back in play. The Legion on Nico this time, and Zeth playing the Warden inside of what I believe was the vending machine / top stairs. But Deimos, the only one being scanned is the Legion so far. It's usually you want to get everybody scanned so that your Deimos can sort of track and put that little bit of pressure onto whoever he wants. Unfortunately, Nico taking a bit of damage as he rushes back downstairs into the main lobby. Not where you want to be. There's nowhere for you to run apart from into lines of sights. But there is nobody else holding an angle onto him.
Nico, he's just lurking here in this lobby, ensuring that he doesn't get cut off, but there is one laying in wait outside that window. He does go for the cross, but he will take a significant amount of damage, and he will start to get that Deimos track on him, so he is going to fall off down to that site, as Bake does have the track on him, but he is 2 floors below. He will remain safe for now, but Buck will start to do the verticals, will start to get those angles and make those plays on site feel a little bit unsafe. A C4 will go out, nothing to connect. That is the Warden C4 down for the count, but still have the C4 from the Mirror and the Bandit.
You've still got Nico here trying to take every gunfight that he can, even with the low amount of health that he's on, as we are down to 1:20 left into the round. And it's going to be interesting to see how Outlast does execute here as they're opening up the hatch onto the B-bomb. But you still got the Goyos to play on the door, as well, as we do see a bit of a push here. But they still don't know. Bake finding a kill onto Zeth finally, and getting you the start of this push, this execution with 56 minutes, or 56 seconds left in the round, sorry.
Yes, 56 minutes. That might be the length of the game, but not of this round. But 45 seconds now as the execute starts to come. About 5 players up for the side of Outlast. The plant will be stuck. It will go down. It's all about the retake now, but Pala will find Kaken. Orion to charge through the wall, but will be met by Sharky. Docs to shut down Mistrik, and Nico forced to clutch a 1v5 with about 20 HP. He will drop cargo hatch. There is a player watching the feet holes. He'll look away in a flawless round for Outlast. They will respond quite aggressively and quite flawlessly here in round 3. Now we go to round 4. Outlast taking the cake with that one and putting themselves in the lead 2-1. So both teams just biting back. Both teams bringing back something a little bit extra the round following. So now, you know, if the trend follows, A7 should be bringing on something a little bit special for us. But we are going to that tertiary bomb site of control storage. Now, this one, I like this bomb site, you know, and I think all the bomb sites on this map are quite viable, but you've got to play this bomb site a little bit differently than you play the others, I'd like to say. You got to play down in the basement. You got to play down above as the bomb site, as well as there's so much verticality. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do. And they're bringing some operators to deny these walls as well, because you get these walls on this map. I feel like the longer you can deny those walls from being open, the better off as defenders you will be. But the attackers, they're looking to get it open early. They're looking to get those picks, especially bringing that Monty to get that early and quick control.
Definitely, that was one operator I was going to sort of point out, is that there is the Monty in play, rather than our last match where it was banned out. But Monty brings a lot to the board. Not only does he bring a moving drone that can't be just shot at unless you get the back of him or you get some of his toes, but it's also just that pressure on anybody that is there. And you see this window potentially being opened up, but Nico closing both off the holes. Yeah, there's a lot of shots going out. I don't know where the angles would be on this sort of map. Where would you be looking for? What would you be wanting? As we do see Nico finding that easy kill, getting a little bit of an impact nade, finding a kill around, finding a kill onto a Sharky there. That is your Monty off the board, as well as your gridlock for the start of this round.
Nico playing that beautifully, giving that false sense of security to Bake there on those water stairs. Mistrik taking out Palo, so that's your striker off the board. Oh my god, what a shot from Faulty though onto Mistrik. A beautiful headshot there. And onto Nico. But Docs does go down, so Faulty forced to win the 1v5. He does jump in. He's confident. He's ready to take the gunfights. He is aware of the player in lounge. He goes for the spray. Does connect a little bit, but he's not able to get the pick just yet. The drone hole almost exposing. The C4 will go out. Won't be detonated. He will take it out. He goes for the swing, but Zeth with the better pip in his step, and he will shotgun him to the floor. Another round here for A7. And wow, what a round.
A very back and forth match this is going to be compared to our last one, but Faulty, what the hell? Those shots were just beautiful. The reaction time, great. Just the positioning of the crosshair, just finding the kills. Really, really well done there. Unfortunate that the case was upstairs and he didn't have it on him, because that would have been a pretty good personal plant for himself to just hold and force him onto really bad angles. But A7 doing a really good job finding the kills, especially by Nico. That impact nade making them feel secure with the Kiva barrier. And just going, oh, hello, at the end of that kill.
Yeah, I think that little surprise, you know, that's what you want. That's what you want to do. You want to make your team feel comfortable. Then at those moments, that's when you go for those swings, you go for those plays, and Nico did exactly that, and it definitely opened up the round for A7, as they did find another pick off of that and killed the Monty, which is a huge pick. But, you know, I think Faulty, he had a bit of the dad buff for a second, and something a bit crazy was about to transpire, but Zeth, he wanted to shut down that dream, and now we're tied up here. 2-2. And this is starting to cook up to be a rather close and interesting game now. We are seeing them back on that top floor, on that command center site. So we are seeing the Buck trying to go below, trying to get some vert onto the breaches, I would imagine. But maybe a little bit of a lurk as well, as he's at the bottom here of water stairs. But that is barricaded off, so that will halt his advances for now. We do see, I do believe was that mute there on the top of the EXO stairs.
Reloading! Cover me!
Potentially as... Yes, it is mute all the way down the bottom now. And that's going to be a very, very scary lurk, as I don't think Docs knew that they dropped. Doesn't know exactly where that player was that was playing over in the kitchen vending side. But Nico looking for a bit of a punishment on to the slow roaming here, as we do have Zeph. Try and get a bit of an angle from above here. And it looked like Parla was about to swing into it. Might do so, as he's looking for the jump in onto this hallway window. But the shotgun coming out once more, the laser. No, doesn't want to jump through that window. Doesn't quite feel safe.
He's got the spidey senses were tingling and he was saying, I don't want to go that way. I feel like I might die. And he was exactly correct. But the Flores drones will detonate and get that triple wall open. Ooh. But the Ryan taking out Bake. No more Runeterra drones for him. And we do see Buck here trying to take these rafter stairs. He will advance, but don't have too much control other than this IT and garage side, so they need to make this work. They still have a lot of time to do so, but they are actually tricking that garage triple wall there. So now that it's reinforced, it's a bit hard to work with, and they're all funneling through this IT side. A minute now left on the clock. They're going to start to have to split their push and try and find their way towards the bomb side, as the defenders, they are quite suffocated here on this pillar and command area. So they've got to hold it down. They've got to hold these crossfires and hope that they win these trades. They do have the man advantage, but can Outlast make it work?
As we do see Orion there with the shotgun on the Warden, trying to do a swing, does find the first kill. Docs as it comes now, but they're still getting Fenrir. And they finally take it out to be able to give their push a bit more. But Nico, he's sitting underneath of that C4 kick and finds a kill onto Sharky, giving them a bit more safety as the C4 goes out. Doesn't quite find anybody, but it does give you that pressure as the second C4 goes out by Kick and doesn't find anybody. Mystery finding a kill on Faulty as you've got a 2-on-1 situation swing here. Docs finding the kill down. Are they able to get the plant? No, the bomb is in sight, but it's not in their hands as Mystric and Nico find a kill each to secure that round for a 1-round lead. We'll see if it swings back once more.
It's just a seesaw right now, and it's leaning in the side of A7 currently on the defense. But yeah, Pala and Docs almost making it work, but they were tagged to very, very minuscule HP, and they had to walk through that door or walk through that soft wall there. And unfortunately, the defenders, they only had to look that one way. They only had to hold those two angles. Whereas the attackers, they've got to clear all the angles in the bomb site, make sure no one's behind desks, behind bombs. There's a bunch of things to be aware of, and the defenders just having that extra advantage and utilizing it into their round victories. Now they find themselves 1 round up as we approach the last round of the half. Can Arrival bring themselves to that 4-2 scoreline, or we're Outlast tied up here 3-3? We do go down to the basement bomb site once again, and we did see Outlast do quite well here the round prior when we were here on the basement. So can they do the same? They utilized both the main breach, but not to walk through and go for the plant, but use it as an angle to hold defenders rotates. But they did do a roam clear quite well. So will it be the same sort of story?
Definitely, as we do see the Ram coming onto the board this time along with the Deimos, and you've got Faulty back onto that Grim. A lot of push potential on this sort of area, but it's a lot of vertical that you can open up now instead of just wasting your time with the Buck trying to open it up on some angles. You just throw a drone in, tearing the floor open. But again, you've only got the Legion that has been scattered. You don't have the rest of their team, so it's down to the Deimos to try and make sure this Legion is pressured, as it looks like it's going to be a top floor sort of roam clear again for Nico here, as we do see the Buck already in there. The Legion's being tracked now by the Deimos. Is this going to be bad timing for the Legion here? Deimos not quite able to find the timing in there and just stops doing his thing as the calls go out, giving a bit more info to some of the players.
Yeah, that death mark, when used correctly, can be absolutely lethal, especially when you use it alongside a teammate. But Sharky gonna eliminate a teammate from Arrival7. That will be Mystric off the board, opening up the round for his team. Now they can play a little bit slower, a little bit safe, but Nico looking to make them uncomfortable with this lurk, with this flank. He's already been death marked once, but he's not afraid to push them and make them a little bit cautious of any sort of roamers. But if he does get tracked again, his position will be revealed, and I'd imagine that Outlast will deal with it quite swiftly. The Ram tearing up the floor here and exposing the defenders to a bunch of angles. And there it is. The track will come out. Legion will remain safe for now. It hasn't been tagged quite yet, but Deimos is on the lurk. He does find Kaken through the vertical made by the Ram, but Legion just trying to waste as much time as he can as he goes up those lobby stairs. I do believe there is a player there in vending. Zeth taking out Faulty. That's your Grim off the board. Another executing operator eliminated. But the phone calls will go out, will reveal the position of these roamers. But Nico just playing it safe, playing the time, running down that clock, not gifting this pick. He is meeting his teammate back here in top vending, and he's looking to rotate back down to the bomb site, as I'd imagine the execute is going to be coming about in the next 35 seconds. The goo mines will try and stop the lurk. The plant will go down.
Attackers are activating bomb diffusers.
But Zeth finding the kill there. Doc's finding a kill earlier, but now it's Zeth finding the kill, but running into Parler's angle, as it is still a 2-on-1 situation. Nico is the last one here with 30 seconds left on the bomb plant. Now these are Deimos track coming out. He's going to throw the frag, denying them from the plant, but it might be a hold here, as it is now going to be a defuse. No. Parler finding the kill just in time. Neither player were ready for that. Wow.
The nade was the backup, but the nade did not connect. And then from there, the panic settles in. And yeah, I think that was a rather close one. I think that came down to the milliseconds, maybe about 800. Yeah, I'm not quite sure, but that was down to the final few seconds there. And my, oh my, that could have been a pretty tilting round if they did lose that. But they do tie things up here as we switch sides. So Outlast now on the defense and A7 now here on the attack. So it's even Steven right now. And it can be anybody's game. But the thing is, as we approach the second half, the scoreline gets closer to that match victory. So you've got to be cautious of who wins these rounds and who loses these rounds. Obviously, both teams looking to win, but there can only be one victor in the round. There's no more draws. That was removed from the game a long time ago. So who do we think is gonna start it off here in the first round of the second half?
Well, it's hard to say, but we might look like a Bake C4 coming on a run out here by Bake, as he doesn't quite find a C4 but does go for a spray. But I was going to say that the age-old saying, pros never fake, and Nico never faked that. He just held it, and nearly got it there, but unfortunate timing for him. But we got Docs on the Ella here, holding a very interesting angle behind the shield with a mute jammer. We've also got Faulty waiting for the floor to be open, as it is open now, and trying to get the angle, but doesn't quite find the person. Is going for the claw. Unfortunately, picked it up a bit too late on that hold.
Yeah, the wall will be open, and that will be an avenue that they can take to take control of the bomb site and make themselves that little bit closer to getting that bomb down or getting some frags and eliminating the defenders. But the smoke will go out, so Zeth can cross, but Bake holding the cross, and he will find the head of Zeth. He's now going to push up close. He's going to now be the guardian of this breach. He will stand in its way. An iron golem of his village. But he will fall back.
Definitely. As we see the Monty very close to this mirror, does destroy it, and Orion finding the kill onto Bake there, as that is from the rafters here, as we do see the Monty kicking, looking for a bit of a swing. Doesn't quite find anything, but in a good position to apply a lot of pressure, apply a lot of just information. You see Orion taking a lot of damage there by Faulty, but you've still got Mystery on the blitz on the other side, as this is a double shield pincer. But the mirror does go down. Orion finding the kill on there. Sharky finding the kill back onto Orion. Nico finding a kill back onto Faulty, as it is now a 2v3 situation. The 2v2 Docs finding a kill onto Mystery, but you still have the Monty and the Thatcher on the board, and the two defenders are on the A side. This is a very interesting push coming out. EMP to slow down any gadgets from being used. But the mirror is broken, so they don't know where Nico is quite playing here. Claymore denying a lot of this push. Monty could go for a plant here on the pillar.
plant will go down though, and Nico will down the plant. He will find Docs. He goes for the swing, but Sharky on that low HP will find the down. Now he's going to deal with the Monty. Monty's shield will be swinging, and Sharky will be swinging with the knife. He finds the retake. He finds the triple kill in the round.
Defenders have eyes on the diffuser.
And Outlast, they find the win here. Oh my.
Defenders disabled.
Unfortunate there for
Bomb defusing attempt failed.
Arrival7 as it was just such a close round. Nico, great fucking flick. Oh my lord. That flick onto Docs on the yellow there. But just unfortunate. Couldn't quite find the kill on to the last remaining player, which was Sharky.
Yeah, I think, Monty, he needed to play distance there. The plant's down. He's going to try and go for the kill. You don't need to push up close. Once you push up close, they're able to go for the knife and make that swing of the shield, swing to the side. And then your whole body will be exposed the more melees that come about. So, bit of a misplay from there. But, sometimes these things happen. Sometimes you don't know how aggressive your opponent's going to get on the retake, especially on such low HP. But did the right thing. He played the retake perfectly. Despite all the odds, and Outlast are going to be happy about that round, and A7
10 seconds left.
maybe a little bit chalked, but hopefully mental can stay strong, as it's only one round difference between these two teams, and they are on the attack, so they've got to stay calm. They've got to get locked in and find the synergy to carry on into these next few rounds, because as I said earlier, these rounds in the second half are even more important than the first. But we are seeing them down in the basement. The EMPs will go out. They've got the double hard breach, so they're able to open up these walls at the same time. The trick will come out, but I don't believe they're going to be able to trick the second wall. They don't have a tub to help them. And there we go. We see the ace charges opening up that double wall, but we do see Fake here, close on the wall with the SMG. Goes for the swing, but the shield will push him back, and he'll actually go down to Kakin. That is a really good opener for the side of A7.
Definitely, because that is your smokes off the board there. That is a lot of slow pressure, a lot of kill potential on to that Monty there. But you do see that there's still a top floor presence in Pala. You've still got Faulty with his C4, I believe, and then you've got the Solus with the potential to be able to do something. Mystic finding Faulty, though. That is a big pull as Docs goes down to Nico on the upstairs. Pala is the last one to see upstairs. Unfortunate, Mystic finds a kill on the Sharky. Pala is the last alive with no safe way to get back to site, as we do see somebody still sitting on the top stairs here. Oh, what a flick! As Pala finding kill onto Zeth there.
Yeah, but it's a lot to work with, a lot to ask of Pala to find a 1v5 retake with 24 seconds to go. So if they play all their angles right, they utilize this Monty, Pala will not be able to find the bomb. He's got about 7 seconds to start sticking the diffuser, and there's just too many players on the board. He's getting bullied right now, but he is finding some shots onto the Monty, but he's getting pushed around. And A7, they have a response from the round prior. They weren't happy about how that round ended, but they secure it in round 8. Now we go to round 9. 4-4 the scoreline. I think Outlast, they just got caught up on the roam. I think, they just lost so many picks with no trades to come about. So when they approached the bomb site, they had all the space and all the players. They could just get that bomb down and then just play the post.
Definitely a well played by the shield operator there. Keegan getting that first kill onto Bake on the wall of all places. You're not wanting to die that close to the wall, especially with the smoke being the biggest thing in that situation. You could have slowed down a lot of those plants. You could have slowed down a lot of that pressure from the Monty there, but unfortunate loss at the start, as we do see them now going back down to the downstairs, but playing a bit different here compared to last round, as we do see the Cade on the board along with the Bandit on this defensive round.
Yeah, they're looking to keep those breaches closed this time, as it was such a nuisance last time. I mean, they were able to get that breach open rather quickly, and then from there they just went for the vert, and They just won out on the gunfights and push onto the site from those breaches. So defenders looking to keep those breaches closed that little bit longer, run down that clock a little bit more so that they have more space and more time to play with on the roam. And hopefully the bomb site stays secure so that Outlast can't find round 9. But you do see Mistrik here now on the Deimos. So both teams utilizing Deimos, both teams trying to find these roamers. And speaking of roamers, Fenrir will be shut down. That is not a player you want early off the board. You know, Doc's playing so well so far, and he will be the first to fall. He's not able to switch up those Fenrir gadgets. And you're already putting the attack in the man advantage. But the calls will go out, will expose the roamers. No mute jammers to block that call from coming through. So the sound will reveal. Now it's all about the hunt from the attacking side.
Very interesting ram opening here, as I believe both players that were sitting upstairs are still holding their positions. They don't want to give them up too early, but you've got to also acknowledge, do you just give it up? Do you just drop down the side to have the better angles for yourself? But we've got Faulty still on site. We've got Sharky now down the bottom floor, not playing on that tight size, but we've got Deimos doing a track. Doesn't quite find anybody that is killable from that angle, as we do see Parla falling all the way back downstairs. But you've also got this opening for these teams here, and you do have a lot of pressure coming out with the Rams just opening up a lot of the floors.
Yeah, this vertical pressure is going to be quite difficult. That Malusi Banshee there will expose where the player is playing, with no C4s to come out yet. They do have 2 in hand that they can utilize to find a pick. That one there going and detonating, but not finding any picks, not even really any damage. Everyone on A7 rather healthy. Nico being the only one that's been tagged that little bit, maybe even by his own ram gadget, I am unsure. But Ake trying to hold this vert. We're approaching the wire here, 45 seconds on the board. Everything is about to unfold. It all depends who is going to be on the negative side of it. The flashbangs will go out. Will blind Bake, but only momentarily. He is still holding this breach, patiently waiting for the head to swing so he can sit him down. But Faulty going to sit down Kaken as he takes down the striker. Pala going to take some damage. The Deimos tracks will come through. 20 seconds on the board. They're just trying to find picks through the vert, and Bake will find one. Pala to find another. Zeth with the response onto Sharky. But now we see a 3v2 favoring Outlast. We see Zeth here pushing cargo stairs. All these angles, though, he's not able to connect anything just yet. 2 seconds down. They need to get the diffuser. And the defenders of Outlast win the round.
Ooh, very lucky shots there by Pala on the castle, finding the Deimos kill, but Deimos just getting greedy for the kill instead of just turn your drone off, push another angle, help your team. There's no need to try and go for the swings on the kills. If you've got the diffuser, you need to get the plant down if you can possible. But we did see A7 do really well.
Need to locate and defuse bombs.
And they just couldn't secure it in the end, as we do see OL Outlast taking that round.
Yeah, I think, you know, Outlast doing so well. Just, you know, even though they lost that first pick, they played it safe. And they played, you know, even despite all that vert on the bomb site, they were just staying calm. They were holding the angles where necessary. And then when they needed to, amidst the chaos, they found the picks where necessary and really slowed down the push of A7. They didn't know what they wanted to do with the control that they had. And even with the vert advantage, they still lost the gunfight. So it was rather unfortunate, you know, with the Deimos track. It's a two-way street, you know, you can see them, but they can also see you. So you've got to be careful when you utilize that death mark. And unfortunately, it just did not work in their favor. So A7, they do have some work here to do in round 10, as we are 1 round away for Outlast from that match point. So these next few rounds are crucial to both teams right now. We are still on map 1, so there's plenty of time to, you know, bring out the guns, the secret sauce. But you really want to be the first one to win this this first map here, and I'd imagine A7 are trying to lock in to do that. But we do see Zof here trying to get the breach open. But Bandit, despite the Zephyr, is trying to go for the trick, will be successful. And Orion is trying to stop it as much as he can, but that's 1 exothermic. That's huge value, Broken.
Definitely, that is very, very huge value. It was just unfortunate that the Zofia of Orion had the dual canister launcher out instead of their gun. If they had the gun out, they would have probably found the bandit placing down that battery. But they have backed off. They're not trying to trick the other wall. So they will get open that side, but just missed the Monty there. As Kicken is back on the Monty, does take out that mirror on the top rafters here. But still got a lot of potential here. You've got a flank potential on Bake. He's looking for anything and everything he can. But we've also got Mystery on this blitz on the other side of the map.
They are loving this double shield lineup, aren't they? They're trying to use the shields. You know, shields are quite meta. They did get a little bit of a nerf a season ago, but they are still very, very strong. You know, just having that comfortability that you can look at your enemy dead in the eye and have that safety of like a portable reinforced wall in front of you, and you can push people over like this. And Mystic will eliminate Sharky from the board, and this is what I'm talking about. Shields, despite the nerf, are so strong, and they're utilizing that to their advantage. But 50 seconds on the clock, Bake will find the pick back down to a 4v4, and that will be the blitz off the board. So then now they only have the Monty, who is just as useful, but not as scary as blitz, I'd like to say. But Faulty finding the head of Orion. That's just the fear off the board. 30 seconds on the board. The plant will start to go down.
But Monty is isolated here, even though there is the two friendlies. They are now getting the plant safely down. They cut the angle, but Nico goes down. Zeth finds a kill back on the docks, but Parla in a strong position here as Zeth finds another kill. Zeth finding a triple kill, holding the diffuser here, and Kicken is down, but Faulty is the last on the board, and Faulty is a very lethal player to try and fight here. Finishing off Kicken, so he can't give any info out on where they're sitting. Is not pulling off. He's going for the pull-off now, and Faulty wins it in a beautiful play. Trying to hold it, baiting the player close enough, and swinging with a beautiful gun over the MP7 and securing the round for Outlast.
Faulty with the clutch, and wow, he stayed composed. You know, even though it's a 1v1, it is even. And, you know, it is anybody's game at that point. But he has the disadvantage. He has to go for the defuse. But he did a long bait on that defuse and went for a bit of an off swing. He was able to collect Zeth there. Zeth did very, very well to swing the favor of that round into his hands. But unfortunately, unable to close it out. And Outlast, they find themselves on that match point here on map 1. So it's looking rather scary now for A7. I think this is, you know, the first time that we have seen... No, it's the second time we have seen that 2-round difference now. But this is where it all matters. So A7, they need 2 perfect rounds here if they want to go into the overtime.
Definitely. As Outlast, they looked very strong in that last round. They were just calm, comfortable, but then you have Zeth. He just popped off, securing triple kills, and then unfortunately losing that last 1v1 situation as Kicken was down on the shield. But there is a rotation of sort of the operators. I wouldn't say roles, but operators have been swapped around here as we now see Kicken off of the shield and onto the thermite here as they are running that double breach, which might give them a bit more pressure onto other angles for this attack by A7.
Yeah, utilizing the double breach, I did talk about it earlier. You know, that way if one is to fall, you know, you lose one on the spawn peak, or you know, the utility gets used and it gets tricked. You do have that backup. The thermite charge will go out. They don't have anyone to trick the wall. They don't have a bandit. They've only got the mute jammers, so they will have that wall available to them. But remember, the bomb site is downstairs in that storage control, so opening this IT wall is only one step of many towards trying to pressure these players on the bomb sites. And there is people playing up here, but Orion will actually go down. I don't quite know how he went to that injured state, but Sharky will go for the finish, and that's your ace off the board. So all further hard breaches will be relied on Kaken to open. We do see Faulty there on a little bit of a roam, but the Ram gadget will go out and will start to tear up the floor, giving those angles to the attacking side.
Now, I think that was one of Parla's frost mats that just wasn't destroyed in time by Orion, so he did get chopped down and put into the injured state and then finished off in that close situation. But there is still a lot of time for A7 to secure this round. But there is a lot of pressure coming from downstairs, a lot of pressure sitting upstairs, as well as Mystric finds Bake with the C4 in his hand. And a great angle here as we do see Sharky and Pala trying to get a pinch on here. But if Dox knows that the person sitting up top, Dox finds a kill onto Zeth underneath. But Mystric, he's holding this angle, doesn't want to give it up, knows that there is going to be a time where somebody's going to swing here. And there he goes, sitting on side of the site. Faulty finding a kill here on Kickin. Oh, dirty, dirty swings here.
They're just finding all the picks through the vert, through the holes, anywhere they can. And Volty with another. He is locked in. He's been doing his aim labs, and he finds the third to secure the victory of the first map. What a half from Outlast. But A7, they definitely put up a fight, but that was Outlast pick. So, you know, they were expecting to win that first map. You don't want to gift your team's map, but wow, what a round, what a game so far. But it is a best of 3, everyone, so there is still further action between these two teams. Wow. Any comments, Broken? Any comments?
Well, Faulty is one of the guys that I love to watch, and I love to watch him play well, and he did well on that last round, just securing just kill after kill on these guys that just forgot about their vertical that they had made for themselves, and then they just died to it. So it's just coming down to players just playing the way that they're confidently playing, and just the forgetful moments. As humans, we make mistakes, we forget things, and unfortunately, A7, they just forgot, and Outlast comes out with that great match point win victory on that last map, which was a very great one.
We did say it was going to be a close game, you know, definitely a closer series than the game prior, but you know, we are going to that border next, but we will give you a quick short break, so go get your drinks, go to the toilet, do whatever you got to do, but we will be back rather shortly with some more Siege action.
Welcome back in, guys, as we're heading into our second map, which is going to be the border once again, as we have our first ban coming out by Outlast being the Blackbeard, after what was a not so dominant, but dominant play in the first map on that Nighthaven Labs. But hopefully you have your snacks, your drinks, and everything that you need as we're looking for another cracker game, as Deimos is taking off the attackers here. Now, what are you thinking about the defenders on this one now, KJ, with 2 new teams?
I think, you know, that Deimos ban, definitely a target ban. The Deimos used by both teams so well, and definitely going to impact, especially on border. Like I said, small control for that map. And then Azami being off the board. So we did see Azami being played when we saw the previous 2 teams play on border. So Azami, just an S tier character all around, able to cut off all sorts of lines of sight and build a little bit of a fortress. But Valkyrie, definitely a viable character on any map. You're able to get that intel, and you have a C4 and a beautiful weapon of the MPX. So taking her off the board, definitely going to help you a lot going in here on border. You're able to take control a little bit easier and not be wary of any black eyes in, you know, cheeky little corners or little nooks and crannies, and maybe a little bit safer from those C4s. But I'd imagine Outlast here, starting off on the defense, they're looking to throw all sorts of things here at A7, especially seeing as they have that map advantage now.
Definitely. Now there's still the Monty on the board again for another map here, as both teams feel like they are confident enough to deal with Monties, but we do see an interesting lineup coming in with the Outlast boys here. Is we've got the Fenrir, the Ella once more played by Dox, you've got the Mute, the Aruni this time, and a Wamai. Now, we didn't see very much play of the Wamai, but we didn't see an Aruni at all on our last map, as well as the last match, from my memory here. This attacking lineup's looking pretty lethal here.
we did not see the Aruni. And Aruni, I'd like to say, is a very, very good character. I mean, definitely helps with slowing down the push with those gates. But also packs a punch with the loadout as well. You have that P10 Roni, or you have the DMR, which is just so lethal. You know, Dokkaebi has the same DMR, so the fact that you get it on the defense as well with an ACOG is kind of crazy. And you can hold these long angles, as we see Faulty holding that armory head holes there. But Mistrik here with the Twitch drone beautifully placed in this little bit of an office dome angle. And Orion looking to push this top E. So for the most part, I think they're going to go for an Archives take. Maybe sort of ignore Armory altogether. Most teams either go for an Armory side or an Archives side. But Archives is a little bit safer now with the way that a lot of teams play with those head holes on that main wall. But we do see Pala here trying to hold down this office hallway and deny any sort of entry from this east side. He's trying to pre-fire through that east window, try and find that ace. But everything is quiet and everyone is safe for now.
Definitely, as there is still that 2 minutes left in the match, there is a lot of time for just one player to make that sort of start to this match, but there is also a lot of time for these teams to decide who is going to start this game and this map off well. As we do see the calls coming out, a lot of people being called, a lot of using the mute jammers to make sure that they don't get the calls anymore. Pala in a very strong situation here as Mistrik finds the Fenrir, but gets replaced straight away as Sharky finds a kill onto Nico to start this round out. And unfortunately for Orion, doesn't find the kill, but Zeth finds the kill onto Pala. That is one kill for one. Zeth going on a killing streak, finding a triple kill within seconds, but not finding anybody, but Mistrik finding Sharky. It is now a 4v1 situation for Docs. And this is your Ella against a Blitz by Kickin. He's a strong shield player. Oh my.
Unstoppable force. And I think they definitely have a response here on border. It is their map of choice, and they're already taking it with all the passion that they would like. And I think, you know, if you can win the rounds here on the attack, like I said, this is a frag-heavy map, so it's all about pretty much the gunfights. It's all about the fundamentals, really. You know, you take a little bit of control, and then from there, it's all guns blazing, and that's exactly what A7 did. Especially Zeth, an absolute heat of that round, finding 3. So
and in quick succession.
Yeah, we could be on a bit of a comeback session right now, and they might claim this map as their own, as they did pick it, and we might see that map 3, and we might get to go to that lovely cafe, Broken.
I wouldn't mind going to the cafe. There's a few areas I do like inside of that map, but for now, it's still the border map. First round, Arrival7 playing very well against Outlast, but Outlast, they've still got a roster that can do it here. They just need to find the right angles and potentially get rid of Kickin off of the shields here. But I doubt they're going to be able to do that with confidence. Zeth is a lethal weapon in that last round, as we did see. And it looks like they're going to be doing a lot of top holds here, as they're holding in the bathroom tellers this time. How would you push this sort of hold?
Well, you definitely with the vert. I feel like this map works similar to Cafe. Like, for the most part, you want to take the top floor, regardless if the bomb site is downstairs. You can do some horizontal pushes, but for the most part, a good team will utilize the vert against you, and then from there, you're not going to be able to win the round. So you do want to go for this top floor control, even if it's a minimal amount of top floor control. You want to take it. But I like this this pick from Mistrik here. Zero, a bit of an underappreciated operator. He's rather good, and he got a buff. I don't know if it was last season or the season before, but he has quite a lot of those little cameras that you can actually utilize to burn utility of Wamai and Wamai and Jaegers. So I think you can get some real good cameras too. And because you can shoot them, you don't have to really expose yourself. And they can go through reinforced walls, so lots of potential. I'm interested into seeing how Mistrik utilizes his character.
Definitely, as it looks like one has already been placed on a very crucial spot here, as the swing comes out, but he doesn't quite find it. Sharky getting the kill, but Orion finding the kill back after taking a bit of a beating on those shots there. But you still have Faulty sitting inside of this very tight angle, but drops the hatch, denying the next kill coming out. There is no rotating to the workshop. They fully reinforced it off. And, 1 HP for Orion here. If he gets tickled by a feather, he is going down. Oh.
That doesn't shy him away from taking the peak. He will still try and find these kills through the vert, and he finds Bake on that 1 HP, and Bake will be kicking himself at that one, but you know, these are the angles that are made available. You've got to be aware of them, even if they are minuscule like that, and sometimes it can sway the way that the round goes. But 3v4 now for Outlast, but if they can eliminate this Orion, who is on that low HP, it could be a even round, and we are approaching that 40-second mark, so the time is ticking, and we are getting to that round's end, but they are going to go for the drop. They have the Monty to help them go for the plant. The shield will protect him from the soft wall, but he will stick the plant. He will get off momentarily, but Pella will find Orion, so I don't quite know why he stopped planting the bomb, but Zeth will find Dox, and we're now down to a 2v2 as Faulty finds Kakin. The fuser's down.
10 seconds to go.
Oh, Faulty finding the head of Zeth. 5 seconds on the board. Nico finds Faulty, but he has to get the bomb down.
Operators, you have run out of time.
That was a bit of a misplay. I have to put that out there. A misplay by the defuse plant. Hold that plant down. Everybody's covering you. You're safe. Get the plant down, forcing your opponents into this sort of pressured situation, but jumping off of it at that time, you're allowing the enemy that extra bit of time, and you lose the round. I don't know what was going through their head just then.
Yeah, I think, you know, they had the bomb, you know, going down. Maybe they were sort of afraid that if they did plant, that they wouldn't be able to go for the post plant hold with the people being lost to the picks surrounding them. But I think you stick that plant there, you are Monty, you can hold it down, and the time then will be ticking in the defender's disadvantage and not yours. And from there, Kakin then lost his life, so the bomb wasn't planted, it was on his dead corpse, and unfortunate, it came down to that 1v1, but no time left to even start the plant. So definitely a misplay, and I think, you know, if they aren't in a good mental, that definitely can sway it into a negative mindset. But I'd imagine with the players that are here, I'm not going to let something like that get them, but it definitely all adds up, especially when you are, you know, a map down.
Definitely, but A7, they will move on. They'll go into this next round looking to potentially secure a bit of a win, as we do see Mystric trying to open up the window, play a bit of that, as I like to say, phantom pressure on to Outlast here. But you've got Kicken, he's still playing on his shield, still enjoying his shield play, but we've now got Faulty onto that Tuberow to slow down a lot of that sort of pressure on the hard breaches and everything. Bit of an aggressive push here by Dox, trying to see if he can get a pick. As we do see Mystric all the way on the office wall here. Trying to get a swing, but doesn't quite find it. Bake getting the swing kill there. But Brian finding a kill back on the Parlor.
Trades are coming out, and this is the sort of way that you want to be playing if you are A7 here on the attack with Sharky. Running about, trying to dodge the bullets. He's on the battlefield right now, and he needs a medic, but there is no doc on the board, so he will just have to play it safe. He can tend to his wounds after the round, but he's just playing here on this boost, waiting. And Nico is also waiting, and Sharky will actually go down. I'm not sure how, but he will go down, so he must be picked up, but Dox will be the one to try and pick him up, but he needs to make sure that he doesn't lose his life in the process. He isn't going for the res anymore. He is playing in this office hallway, and I do believe the Monty here is in office. Oh! Zeth with the sneak up metal stairs does find Bake. Caught a little off guard there, and now we're down to a 2v3 as I do believe we are going to finish off the Umai there. Now Faulty left in a 1v4 as Orion finds Doc, so can Faulty do it? Does he have enough of a dad buff to pull this off?
He does still have the C4. The C4 going out. Does it find the kill? Yes. Finds Kicking on that Monty. That is the defuse down. Now the attackers have to force into you, but Zeth is swinging up behind him on a sneaky flank. Zeth. That's quite a clutch thing there. Clutch
They,
play almost.
Zeth, he did say to me last night that he was going to try and show up for today's game and Outlast very early into the game, but they are taking probably a much needed time out there as they are on the defense. They don't want to let too many rounds slip away from them. And maybe they just want to slow down the momentum and pick themselves up. Even though we are, very early into the game. We're only into that round 4, but might as well stop the problems now and not let them, get any worse. So they're trying to get themselves together, maybe have a little bit of a drink of water, refresh, rehydrate, so they can get here into round 4 and start to bring the rounds back. They do have that map advantage, but they're just wanting to play it safe. What do you think is the mindset here going into round 4?
Round 4, you've just got to notice where the sort of flanks were coming out, where you were holding, and see if you can get those sort of angles in, as it was just unfortunate. They were just on angles, they got a pixel. As we saw, Docs didn't go for the res early. If Docs went and got that res, you would have had an extra body, an extra gun up. You've sort of got to acknowledge, get your teammate up when you're in a good position. Don't force yourself into a bad spot. Or just don't force another teammate to do it. Instead, you go and pick them up. You know that they're safe in a situation like that. Get the early pickup. Get your body back up. You could have forced a 4v4. You could have forced a 4v3. Zeth could have been killed by the 1 You don't know. But that round, it's over. It's done with. They're going to push on to this next one as we do see the scope post being played once again. An interesting pick here on this map.
Yeah, we are going to that ventilation workshop bomb site, so this isn't usually the good tertiary bomb site. Both teams, I feel like a lot of teams don't really like this bomb site or customs, but when you've won a certain amount of rounds, you need to sort of, or lost a few rounds, you can't utilize some of them. So you've got to work with what you've got. And maybe you can trick some of your attackers into doing some weird pushes. And Doc, he will open up the round and he will find Orion. So eliminating the hard breach so early. Beautiful, beautiful pick. This is what you want if you are on the side of Outlast. You don't want to be gifting any more picks, but they will find the Monty as well, unaware of Sharky here on that break wall. And I think with that sort of play, Sharky returning to the bomb site, beautiful choice. Don't allow for any sort of early trades. Run down that clock. They're going to have to play it safer now.
Definitely. That is your shield and your hard breach off of the board. That is a lot of potential stuff. But you still do have Zeth and you still have Nico in a pretty good position here. But Mistrik, he's trying to find something that he can at all. Trying to find an angle. Trying to get a kill to sort of bring it back towards them in a sense. But nobody's wanting to peek. Nobody wants to sort of give them the opportunity as Sharky just swinging around on the cams, trying to find anything. Might do a potential. Doc swings out, gets taken down by Mistrik. That is a 4v3 situation now, as you've still got a minute 30, so there is a lot of time to do droning cams and anything to find the info of what's happening.
They do have a lot of time, but I don't know if you could see Broken, but there is only one player even near the bomb site. The rest are all on vert. I do believe Sharky is the only one in bathroom, or was in bathroom, that was holding down the site. He was flicking the cams that they have available to them towards the site, but they don't. If we see A7 push towards there and maybe push towards the site, they do have vert that they can utilize against the attackers, but maybe they push in deep. Maybe they find a cheeky play here, but we do see Zeth here in customs. They are starting to push horizontally. And maybe they can work something here, but 50 seconds on the clock. If they've got any sort of calls, any sort of decisions, they need to make it rather swiftly. But we do see here Pella holding this 0 here in archives. Bake will find the kill though and back up his teammate Faulty to find Zeth. But now it's all left to Nico in a 1v4. He's going to walk up the metal stairs, go for a little bit of a gallivant up here, but will be made aware of with that barbed wire. And Bake will secure the kill and another round here for the defense. Outlast doing beautiful to open that round, and they didn't do anything crazy to lose the man count, and I think a very, very clean round from them, Broken.
Definitely. I think they got that bit of water, that bit of fresh air, and then they came back in and said, no, we're taking this next round. As A7, they just didn't know what to do. After Orion went down, after Kicken went down, they just they couldn't make up their mind. Do we just push aside? Do we try and push these people upstairs? You have a split push happening.
Defenders, protect your
Mystery
bomb
didn't need to jump
by
in.
attackers.
Could have just taken the one frag and dropped down and sort of swung on another area, but it was unfortunate that they couldn't get what they wanted. Outlast taking that last round in a very, I'd say, strong sort of way.
Yeah, for the most part, I think the decisions early round, losing those first 2 picks, I don't know if they didn't have any drones, or maybe they did have a drone, but they were just unaware of some of the positions that the defenders were playing. But pushing into break early there with the Monty and not being aware that you're exposing yourself to that break angle, I think, you know, that is definitely a hindrance to that push entirely. But also losing that hard bridge, not able to open up any of the walls to give you those lines of sight onto those players playing above on that vert. So maybe if they did push deep, the vert would have overwhelmed them and they might not have won the round, but it's all hypothetical. And the round has occurred and the mistakes were made, so Outlast capitalizing on them and bringing it back to that 2-2 scoreline. And now that we're in round 5, we're approaching the last few rounds here of the first half on border. And Outlast hoping to find it here on the defense. Clean defense. Sorry, attack, but we do see Docs. I don't even know how he's alive.
That was a Cali shot. I don't know if that was to a toe to bring you down to that low, or if that was a chest or a shoulder shot. But that is a lot of health gone, and no medic to heal you. But we do see Kicken has taken a lot of that server, a lot of that security side, as they have reinforced that fountain side, rotate. But no pressure coming from the ventilation, nothing coming from that sort of vent window to cut off any pushes here. But we do see Kicken in a very strong position, giving a lot of pressure onto these defenders. You've got a lot of office pressure with these defenders. You've got a lot of presence on that side. There's nothing over near their armory side too much, as they know that a push is going to be happening here. But you are safe to swing into your metal if you want to. They're just trying to clear out Parlor here in a very strong location, but it has to drop.
Yeah, he didn't want any sort of business with the amount of crossfires and pushes coming in from him there in office. And I think smart decision halfway into the round, and you know, Docs is quite low, so he doesn't want to gift a pick and sway it into A7's favor. So, you know, the bomb site is in that armory archives, so they do need to start to get that office control, and I think they have done that. But it looks like they're also sort of switching up their push. They've actually abandoned up east, and it looks like they're switching to armory side. And, you know, 1 minute left on the clock. If Sharky does lose his life here, maybe they're just going to push on through. But do see Pala go down to Zeth on the Cali. And he take Mistrick here on the vent window. Will find Fault. But Zeth will find Docs as well. He's just sniping everyone.
Bomb has been located.
And everyone on the defense is just falling. Orion to find Sharky. Mistrick to find Bacon. A flawless round here for A7.
That was some shooting by the Cali there, downing the mirror, then finishing her off, but also dealing that big chunk of damage on to the castle early into the round. I think that created a lot of the phantom pressure for them, and then rotating off of their east push and just going for a main site, armory side, was the best move for them to make there.
Definitely, I think you know, they flipped that push. They realized the pressure on them from all these angles, and that, you know, Outlast were facing towards that way. You know, go for a little bit of a backstab, but they went for a backstab together as a unit, as a squadron. And they absolutely decimated there and really caught Outlast off guard. So Outlast, they are here on the defense. It is only 1 round separating the 2 teams, but you definitely want to try and even up the scoreline here as we are in the last round of the defense, because, you know, a 4-2 split in A7's favor, you probably don't want that going onto the attack.
Definitely not. No team wants to be put onto that back foot in a game as tight as this. But we'll definitely see how Outlast secures this defensive round, or how A7 secures their attacking round, as Doxy's on the vigil this time. Might be a bit more aggressive. Ooh, being a very sneaky vigil here. Hiding inside of that break room, making sure no drones can spot him. But you've got Sharky on the tube around now. Faulty on that castle. Bake on the mute, and Parlor on that Cade for this round. As Kicken, he's loving that shield. He's loving playing shields non-stop. But
Yeah, he might be the IGL of the team. He might be calling the shots. I don't know, but you know, being the Monty, you definitely can do so. You can play safe, and hopefully you don't get picked off from a little bit of an off angle like you did in one of the last rounds. But are they going to find the Vigil sneaking here under the desk? Great drone work from Orion, and they will shut down the Vigil there. The right position will not pay off, and Nico will claim that kill. Mistrick, though, going to claim Bacon. Already Outlast in a 3v5 situation now, as we're only a minute into the round, and Outlast just not able to find their footing right now. And A7, they're prepared. They've got all the right calls, all the right decisions right now. Now we're just waiting for Outlast to have a response here in round 6. They're waiting to find some picks back, but all these players are on the site. They've gifted the vertical control, and Nico is just going to be able to tear up that floor and really pressure them on the bomb side.
Definitely, as we see that the start of all these breaching charges, these ram drones beginning to open up this floor. They're not looking to open the hatch. I believe they're just going to go for the straight push, as Sharky trying to find the pick here. Doesn't quite find anything, but Orion finding the angle to kill Faulty here and get that opening. But you've still got your Tilbury out and your Cade on the board. Both strong weapons and both C4s. As one C4 goes out, Sharky finding the kill onto Mistrick. That is your Thatcher off of the board here, but Ram still opening up a lot of the floors. As we do see Kicken ready to do an execute whenever the team is ready.
Yeah, but Sharky is quite low, so the engagements that he takes, he would hope he's going to be backed up by Pala. The drones will come out, try and find the locations of these players so that when they do go for this execute, they aren't met with any surprises. Aiken droning out. I don't think they're aware of Sharky's position, but they are droning. I think they are aware that Cade is in this blue hall near customs. But Monty is ready to jump in, and he's going to do exactly that. He will be tagged. The C4 will take him out. Zeth will find Sharky on the window, but we see the Cade holding down the line, but Zeth will find him. There's just too many bodies. And we see that A7, they win it here in the first half, 4-2. And now Outlast have to give it their go at attack, being 2 rounds down now.
Very unfortunate there. It's one of my pet peeves, is the greed kill. You've downed somebody. There's no need to go for the kill. Just play the angle, wait for the next person to come and try and pick him up. But Zeth is playing one hell of a game on this map of border, sitting with the 11-2. Oh, beautiful, as we're switching over to A7's defense here. And they're starting on, I'd say, the easiest one to hold, but it's also one of the most frightful if the attackers know how to take it down.
Attackers have located a bomb.
That is for sure. And, you know, Armory being the side of choice, you know, nothing too crazy outside of ranked. You know, this top floor bomb site is definitely a staple of border. And the way that you play it hasn't changed all too much throughout the season. You know, you hold this office, you hold this fountain. You try and extend as much as you can, because like I talked about, it is a rather small map compared to some of the others in the map pool. So that is why it is considered a rather flag-heavy map. Now, we do see Orion placing that Banshee outside of that CC door there, so that he can swing off of that intel if anyone's going to push too close. And playing Melusi is just so great. And because it is a small map, you're going to be aware of all these lurks a little bit more from the attacking side. So playing Melusi, playing that Legion, really trying to lock down on that lurk. We do see Bake here on the gridlock trying to hold this top east side. And we'll put down that door to provide that phantom pressure. Make the defenders think maybe they are pushing that hallway, that staircase. But we do see Ace trying to go for the mirror. Lucy will deny that. And how are they going to deal with this?
Definitely, you've still got Faulty on the floor. You've still got Sharky. You've got Bake and Docs. But the push, you've got to try and get somebody out. Kicken's on very low health here, but he's still alive. That is still a threat on the board. Mishik with that sort of, I would say, a very threatening mirror placement, holding that whole balcony side, but you've still got Zeth. He's trying to look for a swing here. Bake doesn't quite know that somebody's sitting there, but the smoke goes out, denying a lot of the pressure on the stairs. Has to swing up close, has to try and get in the face of this player here to try and swing in. One pushing up main stairs. This is Docs pushing up main stairs. Finds a kill onto Orion. Is pushing straight onto site. Finds a kill on the kick-in. That is 2 kills early in this execution, as there's still a minute 20 left in this round here. But you do have a lot of position, a lot of space here.
They do, and they're going to have to try and go for the retake as Docs, he's taking the side of his own, and Faulty outside here, he finds one Bake to find the other. Mystric will find the refrag, but unfortunately he's left in a 1v4 situations, and there's just angles everywhere that he has to peek. Being tagged through the wall. The defuse is down, 33 seconds to find 4 picks and the defuse. Unless he can do something a little bit crazier, a bit of a ninja defuse, but I don't think that's going to happen, as it is quite loud when you start ticking away on that diffuser. But gonna try and pad the stats, try and walk through these doorways and find some picks, but Palla's gonna deny that, and he's gonna shut down Mystric. Outlast, they have a response here on the attack, looking rather comfortable, a whole lot more comfortable on the attack than the defense. And this is what I was talking about, you know, it isn't as defender-sided as people may think, because you don't really have to get a lot of control for this map. And we did see just Docs on the Ash there, walking up metal stairs, walking on into site, finding those picks, and no one was able to claim him. No one was able to trade.
Definitely not. If there is a small chink in the armor and it looks free, Docs will take it, it seems, as he did find the 2 kills on very quick swings there. But A7, they're still 1 round ahead. Outlast is looking comfortable in their pushes now, but it's anybody's game. It's been a close series so far. The last map was only a 3-round win by Outlast, and A7, they're still looking strong on this choice of theirs.
For sure, for sure. It's a bit of a tug of war going on there, just a push and pull. And I wonder if Outlast starts to get some momentum if we see a timeout from A7, or if they just want to keep the ball rolling. But right now, they want to keep the ball rolling because they are in the winning court. They have all the right plays right now to keep them in the lead. But can they continue to keep the lead? Or are they going to burn out? But I guess we'll see as we are in round 8 now. We see Orion playing some Capcom. We haven't seen any Capcom yet, I don't believe. So maybe to catch some attackers off guard, running through those doorways or those windows. But we see Bake here on this drone angle. And I have been victim to this angle many, many times. So I am aware of it. And anyone with a DMR and absolutely down you very, very quickly. So you've got to be cautious of that. So if you don't know that angle, it has now been gifted to you on your screen, so you can utilize it in your ranked games or your quick match games, whatever you decide. But see Docs here holding down the CC player, but Mystric will find the opening pick of Faulty, and that's already going to pose a absolute nuisance to the side of Outlast. That their hard bridge is down, C4 to detonate, but will not find anyone. And 1 minute on the board, and the attackers Outlast struggling to gain control of the map right now.
Definitely, again, Faulty being a big crucial player in this team for Outlast, as well as your hard breach. That's a lot of impact gone. But again, Docs just missed a few kills onto Orion there, or a few timings. And R6 timing, as we know, is a bit of a nuisance coming to kills or just angles in general. But we do see the site getting drained out. Doesn't quite find anybody that is there for the price, but there's still a lot of potential here. As Kaken, he's trying to find the kill onto Docs here. Docs taking a bit of damage, doesn't quite go down, but is still holding the angle, trying to swing it to see if they can get anything. But you got Mystric on his long angle. Kaken going down. Don't know who by, but Sharky takes a bit of a Capcan hit, going for a plant potential here. As we do see Miko taking out Bake, finding the plant, going down. He's on a halfway, but there is nobody to cover. Docs killing Zeth there, getting the good cover. Sharky gets the bomb down, but it's a lot of damage going down.
Oh, drop from Palo though. He will drop into Courtyard, find the player down there, but he also find him. But Mystric will find Palo, and it's down to a 1v1 between Docs and Mystric. But Mystric will lose the gunfight, and Docs on that Ash being an absolute menace. And he drops the lol in the chat. He wants them to know that he should not be allowed to do that. But wow, what a crawlback from Outlast. They managed to just waddle into the bomb site there, plant behind that OSA shield, and from there, absolute chaos. People jumping out the building in the break, getting caught by air jabs as the Nomad drops the courtyard, finds 2 picks, then gets traded. Just bodies flying everywhere.
Definitely, it was a bit of a unfortunate position there for Nico on that Legion. Got knocked to the ground and then jumped down onto like it was Assassin's Creed. But just great movement by Pala. Finding the 2 kills, then just running into somebody that was sitting in the corner. But he could trust his teammate Docs to find the kill on the winning point there. But there's still a lot of rounds left, a lot of game left, and a potential 3rd map left in this match for both A7 and Outlast, as A7 is back upstairs in the Armory Hall.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb and defuse it.
They definitely did well on this bomb site prior, and they do it again. They've got a Tachanka actually with the LMG. We don't see this too often. A lot of players that do play Tachanka like to run the other gun so that they can run the ACOG, but you can also run some certain scopes on this gun too. But that Tachanka LMG, if you just spray it about, maybe you might be able to collect some heads. But playing alongside that shield, and he'll actually have his head taken off by Bake. So Bake opening up the round there on the Lion. He's doing well to find that. That's some plant denial, some entry denial from Zeth. Eliminated from the board. A7 already on the back foot. And Outlast starting to heat up here in the second half.
As we do see Sharky getting Orion on that second frag. That is your Malusi off the board. As Bake finds a 2nd kill on Kickin. That is your Warden off the board here. But you've still got a lot of round left. And Tox finding a 4th player on Mistrick there. Nico has to try and get an ace here to secure the round. And it's going to be a tough job, as only Sharky is the one, only Docs is the one that's taken damage so far. But we'll see what happens in this round, as he's holding the long angle Owen sight. They have pushed in. Plant might be going down very soon here, as they know the only place he could be is on that east stairs or in the hallway.
Activating the diffuser.
We'll try and go for the pre-fire through the wall to find that break player, but Bake will go for the swing, and a flawless round for Outlast as they claim another victory here on the attack. So it looked rough in the beginning for them going onto the attack, but now they have sorted the issues, they've fixed the mistakes, they've patched the wounds, and now, this is what I was talking about, now A7 is taking the timeout as they are 1 round down. And Outlast 1 round away from that match point, and then 2 rounds away potentially from claiming map 2 and winning this series. So they are getting rather close, so A7 would be getting nervous. Zeth is putting in some work, 11-5 right now, so he is trying his best alongside Mistrick. But you know, on the side of Outlast, pretty damn even. I mean, if you look at those kills, there's only 2 rounds from the bottom player to the top player. So by the looks of it, they're spreading their kills evenly. They're playing together as a unit. Whereas it's a little bit more skewed on the side of A7. So maybe they're saying that in that voice chat, in that timeout, that they need to work together to find those trades, find those picks. So they can stay in this series and take us to that lovely map 3 of Cafe. But we are going now into round 10, and this is a crucial round for A7, I'd like to say, Broken.
Definitely, and it's been a bit of a struggle for Zeth. He's sort of fallen off in the last few rounds. The last 3 rounds, he hasn't managed to get a extra kill from when he was 11-2, but it's not going to deny him from potentially coming in these next few rounds, as we do see a double Goyo going up on this side. A very interesting tactic to slow down a potential smoke plant. It's usually played in there, but the rest of it, Nico is sort of having a bit of a struggle, but he's getting those crucial sort of angles to hold on to. It's just got to be a lot more teamwork. They're getting picked off on their ones, as we have said in the past for both these two teams, as well as the last match. It's stop getting ones. Take your 2-on-1s. Make sure you've always got a buddy with you.
At the end of the day, you know, Siege, it's not all reliant on gun skill, but it is an FPS at its core. So you want to make sure that when you are taking the engagements, that you're taking them with your advantage. And by doing that, you can pair up with a buddy and you should have that advantage. But we do see somebody sneaking off there into supply. I do believe it is Zeth on the Goyo. They're unaware of that. They've got to be careful because he can get an angle and get an early pick. But also, he could get trapped in there and find himself getting picked. He's got to be cautious that he doesn't get revealed to the enemy. But they are on that east window there. He does go for the pre-fire, but Kaken will not find anyone as of yet. 1 minute into the round now. They are starting to drone that top east and hopefully gain that control. Zeth here in courtyard looking to find any sort of lurk. But they are outside those east windows. They're waiting, but there's actually somebody on the Spider-Man rappel, and it is Faulty, the hero of the day. But he is going to take some damage, but he does have that hero buff, and he's able to tank some shots. The incandels will go out. Kaken will take some damage. He's going to find a pick of his own onto Fake. They don't find Doc, though, as he pushes into Armory. And there's just gunfight after gunfight, pinch after pinch. He does find the Bandit, though, with the swing, and the plant's going to go down. Sharky, he's going to hold that down, and now Outlast have side control, and it's all about the retake once again for A7. Orion starting off the retake, finding Pala. Now it's a 2v3. He is eliminating these drones so they don't have the intel, but there's a lot of space to gain, and a triple for Docs as he finds Nico. Can Orion find 3? He can't find any more, and Faulty will secure them onto that match point. Broken. The rounds are slipping away from A7 now, and what do we reckon is going to happen here on this potential last round?
Well, I think it's going to be just more Outlast just breaking down A7. Unless A7 can switch it up, and I wouldn't say be more aggressive, but they just need to play with each other. That's the biggest thing. There's a lot of ones. There's a lot of swings. We're seeing a lot of players, when it's coming down to the last two, they're both on the opposite side of the map. They're not together. They're not trying to play with each other to try and get a potential double swing here.
Attackers have discovered the location of a bomb.
It's hard to tell what they need to do when Outlast is just playing the way that they are. They're playing together. They're playing so strong. And as we saw, Faulty, he's gotten that sort of dad buff, as you've been saying, but he also had the Finker buff, the hero buff on the Spider-Man there to try and find that, to get that actual kill onto Zeth there.
Yeah, I think, that was a crazy kill to get, rappelling down that courtyard, but, it is a risky play, but it paid off, and, all the props to Faulty for trying that, and I think, when you are a map up, when you are those rounds up, and you go for those crazy plays, why not? Have some fun with it. And I think A7, they are not in the fun zone right now. They are in the lock-in zone. They have all the odds against them right now, but they can still make it work. 2 rounds is not a great margin. They can find themselves getting back here. They've just got to play all the angles right. They've got to play the timings right. They've got to play together. And they've got to shut down this aggression from Outlast as we see them outside break here. All of them scattered about, backing each other up here. So we hopefully, Nico can shut it down. But we see the drones coming out. The position will be revealed rather shortly.
Definitely a strong position here for Nico on that 90 angle, but a lot of this bomb is downstairs, and a lot of these guys are upstairs on the opposite side of the map. So if Outlast wants to notice this, they could just go for a literal jump in through the window, taking a lot of that vending, just get the plant down, or even drop down into this square and just take a lot of that position as well. Is another thing that they can do. But you've got Zeth in a very strong position on the site, so you don't have to worry about too much of a jump into site sort of thing. But we do see Nico and Kicken trying to get a swing, trying to find something here, and Mishrik in the vicinity. But it looks like they're going to go for this site drop and just get a plant down, it looks like, as we do see Docs just sprinting across the map to look for this here.
He's down here in the courtyard. He's opened up that single wall into tellers. He's looking to find a pick here. He's looking to find an opening. And we're just laying in wait, patiently waiting for the gunfights to come out. And there we go. Pala will find Orion. The plant will go down from Sharky. And now they're just unaware. They're unable to stop it. Bake will stop Zeth, but Nico with the swing will shut down him, but he will be traded by Faulty. Now we're down to a 4v2, but make that a 2v2 as Kaken and Mistrick go for the swings. It's all left to Faulty on East, but he finds one. Will he find the last? Mistrick down to a 1v1, 27 seconds to do so. Faulty is on that courtyard. Can he make it work? But Mistrick not able to find the angle to stay safe. And Faulty will lock in the round. He will lock in the game. They will win Border, which was actually A7's map. So Outlast 2-0 on the series. Broken. We've had two 2-0s back to back. Quite dominant.
We have, but these were the two dominant teams from the Swift stage as well. They both clean sweeped their brackets. So you're sort of expecting it, but you sort of weren't. You can't say that the other team played bad, but you can't say the other team played well. Both teams played to their level. They played to that strong point. And unfortunately, we didn't get a third map on either of ours, but both being 7-4s on both of the maps was a big thing. And Zeth played really well for the first few rounds, but struggled to get the last few rounds in that border map. But overall, both teams were playing to their level, playing to that highest, and gave us both great games.
And as you highlighted, yes, AXO from the series prior was undefeated in that Swiss bracket, but so was Outlast, and they continue that reign. So it's going to be interesting when they face each other, who will claim the defeat and who will claim the victory. So I am intrigued to see that when that game comes about. But that is those two games done. That is the Oceanic games done, I do believe. So, that is us done for the cast for you and I tonight, I do believe, Broken.
Yes.
But we do have some more Siege action. But any more comments on what's happened today?
Well, it's just going to be interesting to see how, as we see now on this bracket, it's now AXO versus Ludovica. And then you've got Outlast waiting for their next opponent on the game between True Synergy and Saga. But we do have Omen now going against Discipline Esports on that lower bracket, and A7's going to be waiting for their competition after that next match. But yes, we do have more Siege coming up after this, and unfortunately KJ has to go for a little bit, and I will be staying on for another match, and hopefully it's going to be a great match, as I believe we'll go into a small break to allow you to catch your breath and get everything. Well,
we do see Outlast. They, because they won that Broken, they actually are in the APL now, as well as AXO and Ludovica. So if you guys didn't know that, they are in the semi-finals, but they are in the APL now. So now they're playing for that prize pool. So, definitely going to be some interesting games as we go further along that bracket there. And you've seen the lower bracket, so still a chance to get to that lower bracket finals for the teams that did not win in their matchups today. So we see A7 will be going up against the player that loses in that Saga match. But yes, we definitely got some games on our hand ahead of us. And I think, for the games that were played, best of luck to the players in their future games. But also you all played well. To the teams that did, progress further in the bracket from those wins, you played great. Congratulations. Better team at the end of the day. And before we go to a break, any last words for our lovely viewers, Broken?
Well, they were great games. It was also a great time casting with you, and it's just enjoying the Siege, enjoying the gameplay and everything. But I think we're going to be able to go over to the A stream and watch the rest of this game for our top series.
The A stream. So we can catch all the action over there, and they've definitely got a game on their hands. So thank you guys for supporting us, and thanks to all the behind the scenes people making this work. Shout out to Ubisoft, shout out to Mitch and the observers, making it all nice and clean for us, as well as the people behind the scenes on the production. But we are going to go pop over there, so that will be goodbye from Broken and I for now. But we hope you have a good rest of your evening watching the Siege action.